Welcome back to Askewed Reviews. And today, I'm not only reviewing a film that's currently in theaters, but I'm also doing it at the request of one of my Askewed viewers. The movie that I'm referring to is the 2025 film Good Boy, directed and co-written by Ben Leonberg. So when I first heard about the concept of this film being a horror movie from the perspective of a dog, I was confused but very intrigued. So let me explain the basic plot for this film. First of all, yes, we are following the entire perspective of a dog named Indy. Now, Indy is the quintessential good boy, as he absolutely cares so much for his human. And that human happens to be a man named Todd, who unfortunately is dealing with some form of lung disease. Since Todd is now getting completely fed up with doctors, hospitals, and of course his nagging sister Vera, he decides that he has to go out into the middle of nowhere, and the perfect place to do this is his grandfather's old home. Now, Todd's grandfather did pass away some years ago, also apparently from some form of sickness, and he even had his own dog named Bandit. Now, his grandfather's body was discovered in the woods, but they never found out what happened to Bandit. Now, I've said a lot about Todd and his family, but as I mentioned earlier, the movie really is all from the perspective of Indy, who is essentially observing what's happening, but at the same time, there is a lot going on that Todd is not aware of. Because as Vera, his sister, has mentioned, the biggest reason why they don't go and visit their grandfather's old house is it is supposedly haunted. Throughout the story, we watch as Indy is not only witnessing some very strange things, but is trying to do his best to protect his human. Todd's part of the story is also pretty interesting, though, as we're seeing a very thin line between whether or not he's dealing with sickness or the supernatural. The number one thing I have to say about this movie is give it a little bit of time, because even myself, who was excited about this, was a little bit confused as to how this was all going to work, and I was a little reluctant to fully accept the story as it began. But as you get further and further into it, it fully engrosses you into this story, and you completely inhabit the feelings and understanding of what's happening to Indy. Honestly, there is so much to enjoy about this movie. The main character, Indy the dog, you fully connect with him throughout the film and are on this roller coaster ride the entire way. Second, the story was really good in my opinion. A little confusing at moments, but if you think about it afterwards, it makes a lot of sense. And also just if you're paying attention too. And then lastly, it actually was pretty creepy and scary at moments. There are actually a couple of jump scares that fully got me. I also very much recommend sticking around until after the credits. There's not another scene, but a whole different little section that goes over how the film was made that really just you gain so much more appreciation for this movie. This has become one of my favorite horror films, if not just in general one of my favorite films of 2025. And for that reason, I'm going to give this movie a 4 out of 5. As I mentioned, this is a limited release in theaters, so if you're not able to catch it, do keep in mind it is a Shudder exclusive, which means that more than likely it'll be on the Shudder app within a matter of weeks to a month. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Skewed Reviews. And if you've already seen Good Boy, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments.